Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 177 of the Audible Farm Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. It's my favorite coffee. I drink it every morning. I need to make a new order because I'm running low. If you want to make an order, go to couchtowncoffee.com, find a coffee you like, make an order, and when you do, let them know Audible Farm sent you, and they will give you 20% off. Why? Because Couchtown Coffee is that awesome. Thanks, Couchtown. This week, I'm sitting down with Andy Shelly. He's the drummer for Saucy Jack. Y'all know and love Saucy Jack. Everyone's seen Saucy Jack, right? I'm pretty sure everyone's seen Saucy Jack. We found out in this episode that I've seen Saucy Jack. That's right, even I saw Saucy Jack maybe about 10 years ago. When they opened up for Reo Speedwagon. They've opened up for a lot of cool bands, and Andy's been playing drums for a long time at a high level with those guys, and he's got some new projects he's working on with some other people. We talk about all that in this episode. We talk about how he got started playing drums. We talk about his obsession with Neil Peart from Rush, a very good obsession for a drummer to have. Yes, most definitely. We talk about his interest in running lights and doing keyboard parts with like triggers and all sorts of, incorporating electronic drums with acoustic drums and our thoughts on those types of topics. We talk about all sorts of good stuff in this episode. I love it. It's a good one. You'll find out right away that this was the first time Andy and I had ever met face to face, and I had a great time sitting down talking with him. So I hope you guys have a good time sitting down listening to our conversation. This is episode number 177 with Andy Shelly, the drummer for Saucy Jack, and now the drummer for the Ronley King Blues Band and Kirkhart.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Today I'm sitting down with Andy Shelly. Andy, this is going to be a fun one because you and I, this is the first time we've met.
It is.
Like 5 minutes ago.
And I got to say, I was kind of bummed at myself for not going to the Ronley King deal at the boardroom.
Oh, yeah, the jam.
I think you went, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, God, I could have met him there, maybe jammed a little bit. But
yeah, well, next time.
Yeah.
They're going to do them again, so that's pretty cool.
Goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's like the one weird thing, like the bridge we have in common is Ronley King. Like, I know Ronley, and Ronley, you're in a band with him now, Ronley King Blues Band.
Yep.
And so I went and saw the Ronley show and saw you drumming, and that was like, I'm pretty sure that was the first time I saw you because I don't think I've ever seen Saucy Jack live. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. What's wrong with you? No, I'm just kidding. No.
So, yeah, I mean, let's start at the very beginning. You told me before the podcast that you started drumming in fourth grade. What got you into drumming in fourth grade?
It's a pretty boring story.
All right.
It's just the grade school. Okay, you're in fourth grade, do you want to join band and, play an instrument? So, absolutely, and I kind of wanted to do the drums, and I think the Mary Heimbrook was the band instructor there at Duncombe, and she kind of talked me out of it. It's like, oh, everyone wants to do the drums. Why don't you, play the trumpet or do something? Well, first of all, they came to the classroom and you did your tryouts,
Yeah.
And you tried different things, and apparently I was the best at the flute.
Of course.
Okay, well, anyway, so I did the trumpet, and 2 weeks of that, I'm like, it's just not happening, not me. I want to play the drums. So we took that back to Reman's and switched it out, and she was fine. And so ever since then, yeah, it's just been playing.
So how long was it from fourth grade until you sat behind like a drum kit, like a full drum kit thing?
Right. Fourth grade, I guess middle school. And things have switched so much. So what, maybe seventh grade?
Yeah, probably jazz band, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And I remember, it's like, okay, I want to get a drum kit, So you look through the paper, which is archaic to most people now.
Yeah. Yep.
Wanted ads. We found a used kit down in Des Moines, drove down, got it, $700. It was like I don't even know what brand it was, Sonar 5-piece, and the guy had taken an old marching drum snare, converted it into a tom.
Oh, nice.
Added another tom here, so it was like 4 rack toms on the floor, and cymbals were, some of them were cracked, but
yeah.
Fuck, I was excited.
Oh, no.
It was like, let's get down. So started there, and I was in jazz band in middle school and kind of worked it from there.
I kind of wished I would have done some drums or something, because drummers have always been the thing that's most elusive to me, because you guys have the ability to like do so much stuff at once. And I get it, like you're playing guitar, you could sing and play guitar and maybe hit some pedals or whatever and stuff, but drummers are just on a different level,
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is that I love about it, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I just love the drive behind it and the drums and the beat, and I don't know. It was just me. Like I said, trumpet just wasn't my deal. It's like I always wanted to drum, and that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess
say.
you're lucky to have found something you wanted to do and then actually went out and did it. Because I'm sure there's so many people that are
Stuck
like,
with
I
it.
wanted to play the drums and I had to play the clarinet. I'm sure there's those people out there that didn't
Right.
get, or they wanted to play the clarinet and somebody made them play the drums instead or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's like she said. It's like, well, everyone wants to play the drums. It's like, well, all right, I'll try this, but then it's like this is just not working. So to the drums and that stuck. So
you were talking that Neil Peart was
loved
like
it.
one of your favorite drummers. Like, did you have?
So what? Well,
Did you? Who was the person first? Like, was Neil Peart the first person you were like, this is why I want to drum? Or like,
no, okay. Yeah, that was not. I don't know what it is. I think it was just. I just wanted to drum. Because I hadn't even heard about Rush yet. I wasn't into drummers or anything at all. It was just like band starting up. I was like, yeah, I want to play the drums. And so I did that, and it wasn't until I don't even know what year that was. How old are you when you're in fourth grade?
12,
I was born
10.
in 1970. Anyway, Rush. So MTV just came out.
Yep.
I forget when the year that was.
I believe.
But my buddy across the alley had it, and I didn't. And the video for Big Money by Rush was out.
Oh,
And I
nice.
forget. I should know this stuff because I'm a Rush head. What year that was. But anyway, he's like, dude, you got to see this drummer's drum kit. It's awesome, and he's awesome. And so, the video came up, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, man, that's awesome. But it honestly, it really wasn't until, I think, high school in jazz band that one of my other drummer buddies in the band, there's usually one or two or three of us drumming, he was into Rush. It's like, okay, let's play Tom Sawyer, or put this on and play to it. So that's the first time I'd ever heard Tom Sawyer. So then I went out looking for their albums.
Oh, nice.
Didn't know a thing about Rush, but I found an album with Tom Sawyer on it. It was the Exit Stage Left, their live album.
That's cool.
So that was packed full with a bunch of hits.
Yep.
And from then on, I was completely hooked on Rush. And of course, Neil Peart, as a drummer just starting, he's an incredible drummer. Incredible guy, incredible songwriter, musician, and his drum kit's huge. So it's like, how can that not lure you in?
No kidding.
And so, I got hooked, and ever since, and until recently, it was maybe 5-10 years ago, which is too long. I finally was like, there's other drummers out there, and I started really, because I had never really looked. Like what is it called? The modern drummer, not that, but the competitions, the festivals they have. I'm having a brain fart right now.
All I can think of is Nam, and that's like the guitar
Yeah,
one. Kind of.
there's these videos out, and so I finally watched one where they had all these drummers. It's like a big weekend thing. I'm like, okay, that guy rocks. Okay, that's sweet. And you realize that, okay, this he's awesome, but he's not the end all.
Yeah.
End all be all.
Yep.
Which some people would probably shoot me for saying that right now. I'm talking Rush fans, but
Yep.
He's great. But it opened my eyes a little bit. So
Yeah, I mean, there's probably an argument to say that Neil Peart is one of the best technical drummers of all time. Like he's not a pocket drummer. He's not a laid back kind of.
No, he's not laid back. He is strict. It's like it's crazy. He's like just spot on. I mean, he tries to be in every way, and there's a lot of people that argue that he's the best drummer in the world or ever, and he's great. But I don't know. There are a lot of good drummers out there. I kind of find that hard to swallow, but he's awesome. Don't get me wrong.
I did pull up
definitely right up there.
I did pull up all the Rush stuff here. So those are, I mean, you got 80s albums.
Yeah, so
There's
Power Windows is whatever year that was is when I got hooked on
85.
that, and that's kind of when it started. Yeah, okay, so I was 15 years old.
Nice. I was close to being born.
So that's probably when I really started getting into the drums and finding my way. Oh God, that's a pun off Rush. That's a song.
Oh man, it is fun though to think that, like, because I mean, it's subjective, yes, but it's also there's so many different I would say like flavors of drummers out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's something I'd never really thought too much until you go to a jam night and you realize, oh, everyone that's drummed here is completely different than the previous drummer.
Right. And I think that was one of the big eye-opening things for me. It was just like I heard some of these other drummers, like, and I forget their names. This one guy was like, his style is so different than this, and what he was doing was pretty simple, but it was just the groove that he had in the feel, and just in the pocket with this and that. And it's just like, wow, that guy's awesome, and that's something totally different than I've ever been listening to. And what I guess what I've gotten not lately. I mean, my mind's open to everything, but I really I got hooked on. We went to a Rush concert years and years back, and one of the songs, they played the intermission was a Porcupine Tree song.
Mm-hmm.
And my buddy with me was like, "Oh yeah, it's Porcupine Tree." I'd never heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it, so I went out and got some other stuff and listened to it. And I loved it. Fell in love with it. But their drummer is Gavin Harrison, who is just incredible as well. Really syncopated, offbeat kind of type of feel to him. Just does some incredible stuff, which is a lot different than what I was used to. And but I just loved it. So it's just another flavor, like you say, just something new.
So
it's great. So I've totally got been listening to them a lot.
Yeah, I find my musical tastes change. Like I went through a huge Rush phase, maybe about 2010. I was like doing a lot of traveling, and Rush, like the whole catalog was just what I listened to all the time. So
I've got it all.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. Me and a bunch of my buddies, we used to like buy CDs and then burn each other copies of them, so we could all have like the entire catalog of stuff without having to buy it all. So
all by yourselves, yeah.
Yep.
No, I was such a Rush head, as a collector. I'm going to get all those. And then I start collecting the LPs, the records, LPs and all that stuff. But there's so much more out there.
Yeah.
I mean, geez.
Yeah,
stupid even saying that. Come on.
Oh, so how long was it before you started a band? Like with now you're drumming.
Well, okay.
You found out who Rush is.
The first one was high school, and they had a drummer, but he kind of got busy with some stuff, so I jumped in, and it was like a pop rock band.
Okay.
The guy loved Simple Minds, Duran Duran.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
All right.
So we played some of that, which was fun. And that's the band we went to Andy's studio. They were into writing music too.
Okay.
And we recorded 4 songs, and we actually got together, reunited just for the hell of it, maybe 2 or 3 years ago from high school. And we did some of those songs.
Oh, nice.
And one of them, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't remember exactly how I played the one part, and I didn't have enough time to figure it out. But it was like Mach speed, and I'm like, geez, what I drink like 4 Red Bulls before I did this? But I'm like, no, I know I didn't, because those weren't even in existence back then. So maybe I had some Mountain Dews, or that I was young, 18 years old. I don't know. It was like just crazy fast.
That's crazy. I mean, so that recording is out there somewhere. Somebody's got it.
Oh yeah. Well, I've got the cassette of it at home. I know the lead singer bought the reels from Andy, so he's got it.
Oh, cool.
I think it is. It might. No, I was going to say Spotify. No, SoundCloud maybe.
It could be on SoundCloud. I'll have to search
may
for
be
it.
out there.
That's actually where this podcast is hosted.
Oh,
Hosted
really?
at SoundCloud. No, it is, but I'm not promoting it. It's not neither one nor the other. But yeah, I mean, that's really cool though, because I mean, I was in a band in high school, but we just did like covers, and we did like what I would call like pop punk covers. So we're talking like your Newfound Glories and your Sum 41s or whatever for all the people that are pop punk fans out there. But so we just did a bunch of that kind of stuff, but we never. I think we wrote like one original song. We never really like recorded anything. We did a live show somebody did like live board audio and saved it and gave it to us. So that's like the closest we got to like recording something. But that's pretty cool. I bet not everybody has that opportunity when they're younger to go record something.
No, yeah. I mean, the recording was great, and then we played. We did have some gigs. I think we had one. We played at some non-alcoholic bar, whatever you want to call it, dry bar. Down in Ames.
Oh,
A long time ago. I forget what is it called. But we played there one night. We played in the Battle Bands down in Ames, ISU. And it's funny, we had a video of that. My buddy and I dug it out maybe 10 years ago and watched it. And, we're doing taking care of business.
Okay.
Way too fast. I mean, it came on and I started laughing. I couldn't believe how fast, it was like, oh man, got some tempo problems here.
Yeah, somebody's got it on the wrong speed on the
oh my
on the
God,
record.
it was like twice as fast. So it's kind of funny, but
that's hilarious.
A little experience there, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I mean, I remember the first time we played was like at a pre-prom event, and
Nice.
you could hear people in the crowd like laughing at us because we were just like,
Oh,
I mean,
no.
we're in high school, it's high
Yeah,
school
yeah.
kids, whatever. Everyone's just kind of that way, but like we're up there with like, cheap $100 guitars and little tiny practice
Yeah.
amps, like trying to like
Oh,
make
we all know how it is.
in a giant auditorium, trying to make it sound
Started.
as good as we can.
Yeah.
It was what it was,
Yeah.
but it was still fun. I wouldn't trade any of those experiences for anything in the world.
Oh no.
I mean,
heck no.
That's
That
just
reminds me. We played at a gym at the YMCA one time, and I could teen dance with that band. And oh yeah, we borrowed the school's stage. To be young and have all that energy.
yeah, to go set it
Hauled
up.
all that over there and hauled all this crap in. It's like the big event of our lives at that point.
Yep.
But, it was fun. It was a blast.
Well, I mean, let's hop around here just a tiny bit because we're talking about hauling stuff all over the place, and you're not one to haul a small drum set around.
No.
What's up with that? You're talking about how it's you don't want to haul stuff, but you're still bringing like what I would call a mini Neil Peart drum set with you.
Well,
everywhere
yeah.
you
So
go.
like the new, even with Saucy Jack, it's like, all right, I gotta cut this down a little bit. That's man, I need this, I need that. Okay, I need that for this song and this. Okay, well, I could maybe cut a couple cymbals out. I could get rid of this drum here, but. With them, I've got electronic pads intermixed in and some foot triggers, which I used them all. Mm-hmm. And so I needed that. And my cymbal setup isn't that huge, so I've got the sounds I need and the toms. Okay, we're covering this song. I need at least these 4 here and these low ones here. So it is what it is. So, but just starting with them, I had, the stands. So it's like, okay. Man, this is a lot of work. It's a lot to haul. I've got to have a quicker setup than this, quicker teardown. So, you went out and I bought the rug, set up. I marked where everything goes and spray painted it on the rug just to help me know where stand placement is. Locked all the hardware in so it's quick setup. And that was fine for a while. And then, things progress. It's like, okay, I got to simplify cables. I got to do this. I got to do something quicker because I got into lights then. Mm-hmm. Before we just had some basic stuff. But I'm all about like, I just love the show, I love playing live. I love the live performance. I love making people move and getting in. Hopefully they're getting into it, and dancing and putting on the show. And I love, like all musicians, we're artists. But for me too, it's like, it's not only the sound, it's the visual, it's the lights and all that stuff. So I totally got into the lighting. So then I'm not only hauling my kit, I'm hauling the lighting equipment, setting that up. So I had, I tried to simplify. And then again, to make it bigger, it's like, well, it'd be cool if the drums were on a riser, So I built this custom riser, and I tried to make it as efficient as possible, which I think I did a pretty good job. It's 2 top pieces that come off, and then they fold in and fit inside the base piece, and then it goes. But the stands, I modified my hardware, so it just slips down into these mounts that I figured out into the thing.
Whoa.
So the stands are in exactly the same place every time. They're locked as they go in. So someone could take this and set my kit up, and it's going to be exactly how I want it without even saying anything, because everything's
that's
locked
awesome.
and stands and everything spacing. It's like you get to a point where you just can close your eyes and play, and you're hitting everything. It's in the exact same spot every time, but it makes it really quick and efficient. As far as setting up, you just pop this in, pop this in, pop this in. And it's done, and then things are set.
That's the one thing I think.
But it's still a lot of stuff to haul. But it did quicken things up and simplify, and the setup, and so
Well,
works out.
That's something else. Like every drummer's setup is different.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have like the basic setup where it's like the snares between your legs, the hi-hats over here, you got a few toms and in the shape where the toms are at, you
Where
know.
you want 'em, yeah.
But some people get weird where it's just like I like the ride all the way over here. Some people like it right up next to the snare. Some people like it in the middle in between some toms. I mean, it's But then you go to jam nights and you got to play on someone else's drum kit.
I know.
It'd be like almost like playing on a guitar. It's like, well, this one's shaped differently and the strings are farther apart and et cetera, et cetera.
The fretboard, the whole neck, whatever, is a little thicker. You're not used to that, stuff like I know how. But yeah, it's, and you look at the different drummers, and this guy has his ride cymbal way up here.
Yep.
And this guy's just sitting down here or over here. And I guess the setup, Neil Peart, inspired me. So my set's always been kind of set up like him. And his setups changed through the times. And he took lessons from I believe it's Freddie Gruber.
Yeah, I saw that in the documentary.
Yeah, and so it's like, and I agree with him. I kind of agree. It's like you start with the basic 4-piece. You got your kick snare and your tom here and here. Anything you want more off that, and and your hats here, snare, and then your ride. And the whole what is it, ergonomics? I don't know. It is set up perfect. Yep. So anything you want beyond that, you just go off that. Mm-hmm. And so that's the way his set, changed to that. I kind of did the same thing. And that's the way I've been playing forever now. Although I have, his toms went here, and up over his hat. And I'm like, okay, well, that's really not me. And so the new setup for the Ronley King band and the other band I'm in, Kirkhart, I've tried to set it up more the way me. It's like, okay, I'm not Neil Peart. I'm not this guy. I'm not, I'm me. Let's set it up how I want it. But it's kind of based off that concept because I do love the ride right here, the hat here, and then but it's nice having the toms. I've got them all just right in front of me now, rather than stepping up and over the hat. And anyway. Yeah, I'm kind of simplified things down a little bit. Just a little smaller kid, but
I'm sure some of that comes down to. I'm sure some of it comes down to technique, and some of it might come down to like emulating who you enjoy. But like I've noticed, some people sit with like they want to play down on their drums and everything's flat. Like it's all the drums are really low, and it makes sense because then you're not blasting up above your head the whole time. Everything's about waist level. But some people like to have everything up high and tilted a little bit so you can kind of see it a little bit more, and the targets are bigger. And
I want to say like Nico from Iron Man, he's got his drums like almost like
45 degrees.
A wall.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ooh. And I think his ride is like up almost vertical like this.
Yep.
And that's just not me. But it's your style and what you're comfortable with and what you want. And I think I've got my layout, the way I like it now.
Yep.
And,
we're talking Nico from Iron Maiden.
Yes.
My favorite band.
Nice.
Yes. So you talk about drummers with big kits. I know what we're
going. He's right up there too.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I know you from Saucy Jack. That's where I kind of like knew who you were before I kind of saw you with Ronley.
Yeah.
And I actually forgot that you were in Kirkhart's band until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Because, you guys haven't played a show yet.
Well, we haven't done anything yet. We've been getting together and rehearsed, but there's nothing but we haven't played yet.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit.
It's going to be a cool time there. That's all I got to say.
You talked to him a while ago.
Yep.
He wants a big show.
Yep.
Which I'm all about, I like that too.
Yeah.
And I wanted to actually do more with Saucy, but, it's just 3 guys, man. It's a lot of stuff to haul. And I know the other 2, Jim and Stacy weren't into that quite as much.
Yeah.
But I was, but it's like, all right.
No, I get it though.
But he wants a big show.
That's the benefit of having more people, more hands to haul stuff.
We've got 5 people in the band now, so
yeah. Going to be one of the first bands with a keyboard player in a while. I guess Ronley's band has one, but still.
And the keyboard player is completely involved with light, so he's kind of taking that off.
Nice.
Man off my hands. So that's what I want. It's like, okay, something new, different direction. I just want to focus on the drums and the drumming rather than designing the light show and programming it all and controlling it. And then like our backing parts with Saucy Jack, any keys and stuff like that, I learned it and did at home. The MIDI into my electronic drum module. It's loaded with all that stuff. So I programmed into that and then set it up on the pads to trigger and start and stop stuff.
I love that.
And so it's like I wanted to get away from that and just focus on drums and try to be the best I can at that. Which
So
it's like, I want that, but yeah, do I practice? Not near like I should. So it's like, I don't know.
I think a lot of us are guilty of that.
Jeez.
Like if I spent less time hunting for gear, I would probably spend a little more time playing the.
I'm kind of a gearhead myself.
Yeah.
That's just like right now I'm building a new riser because everything's locked in and you can't move it. So the set's a little different layout. So I've got to change it. And so since I built it too, it's like some of my lights, I have lights in the thing too, are kind of going bad. And the finish on it is what I wanted, but I built one. Maybe you saw the rotating one.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, that's a different story. I got the finish on that I wanted. So it's like, okay, third time's a charm. I'm going to combine what I did with that one with the efficiency of the first one. And this is it. So,
okay, rotating drum set.
Yeah,
we doing some like Tommy Lee stuff here or what?
No, more like Neil Peart. This all comes from Neil Peart, because he had the electronic kit on the back.
Oh yeah.
At least later in the later years.
Yep.
And so it would rotate around to play that, so he didn't have his back to the audience. And so I'm like, well, he was the big, huge influence. So it's like, that would be so cool. I thought, well, Saucy Jack, we play Pour Some Sugar. What I mean? It's like, well, I could play that on the, full electronic kit. And it'd be cool. I could rotate around it, which is kind of cool in itself, a visual thing, part of the show. But I didn't build it for that. It's always been on my mind, it'd be fun to do this. And it's like, what the hell? I can do it. I've been thinking about it for years. I'm just going to do it.
Nice.
Whether I use it with Saucy, once or never, I'm still doing it. But we did use it once. So yeah, crazy. But
so
I don't know. I'm guessing one of these days, maybe, hopefully, when, some Rush tribute band out there will maybe we'll see it. I'll maybe try to sell it, and get rid of it, to them.
Well, I'd like to say they got the most difficult part covered, but that. Maybe not, like I don't think I'd want to cover an Alex Lifeson part or even a Geddy Lee part. Like, I mean, I remember watching their documentary and they said in the early days, Alex had it easiest because all he had to do was play guitar. And he's not Neil Peart, and Geddy's playing bass, keyboards, and singing. Yeah. And so I remember them saying, like, for a while there, before they had people like off stage handling all of the modulation and stuff. Right. They said that Alex Lifeson was doing his pedals and then also doing all of Geddy's pedals for everything.
Well, that could be. I mean, I know he has a pretty big board out there, and I know he's triggering some of their backing tracks that they do as well. And I know I've seen him a couple songs where he did do some keys on not much, a couple little simple parts, but yeah.
Yeah, I love
I don't know. Rush. And that's the thing about them. It's like without one of them, it's just not Rush. Yeah. It's the three of them together were just magic, and it was awesome. And I don't think they're irreplaceable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like
some people may disagree, but
I don't
Neil
think Peart passed
not
away.
With Rush.
Like who are you gonna cover Neil Peart's part now?
Yeah,
I dare to name me one person.
You see a lot of people that are out there covering this stuff, and it's like, okay, yeah, sound pretty darn good. It sounds like you nailed that. But you're not Neil Peart. You're not nailing every song you do. And if you are, well, so you're gonna go write an album?
Yeah,
you're not gonna get close.
Yeah, because he did a lot of their vocal writing,
lyrics. Yep. He did all the drum parts and.
One of my most popular tweets ever was Neil Peart is the modern day Shakespeare. And that was one of my most popular tweets ever.
Along those lines, in so many quotes from him, and just inspiration from his lyrics that he's written for a lot of people. It's just inspiring for them, and
absolutely
it's crazy stuff.
So let's take me from the high school band to Saucy Jack, where I kind of knew you from.
So okay, there is a connection a little bit. So the high school band, Dan Irving. I don't know if you know Dan.
The name's familiar.
Dan, he plays bass now. He was busy for a while, it seemed like, and then he kind of dropped off, and he's gotten back into it now. So he's playing bass with Kirkhart now.
Okay.
But he was playing keyboards at the time with the high school band.
Oh, nice.
And so, anyway,
I know Dan.
Yeah,
Dan is Owen's stepdad person. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. So okay, I was trying to put the puzzle
it's coming. You found it. Yeah. So he's also a Rush head, and that was the guy I was mentioned earlier that we went to that concert, and he was the one that said, "Oh, that's Porcupine Tree." Anyway, and so we were always in a band there, and that kind of fell apart. It's like, oh, dude, you and I need to start a band. We need to figure something out. And we'd get together and jam, and, some Russian stuff. It's like we need to find a guitarist. Anyway, I heard Saucy Jack might be splitting up. Well, I went and we saw him at Pee Wee's,
Mm-hmm.
And I knew Dan Trimble, owner of the Fort Edge Music Center, because I would go there all the time in high school, be looking and buying, getting stuff, some cymbals and stuff. So, and he knew me well. And so it was like, I'd mentioned to him, I was like, man, I would love to be in a band like this someday. I mean, it's just rock, hard rock. And he kind of smiled and looked at me. He's like, well, you never know. And, it was shortly after that I guess, he and his wife got divorced, and then he had moved away.
Oh, okay.
So then Saucy was
snap.
over.
Yeah.
And so, but Dan and I were like, oh, maybe we should contact Jim and see if he wants to play. So I got on their, website and emailed them and say, hey, Jim, it'd be interested. My buddy and I are trying to find a guitarist. Would you interested in playing with us? And he's like, yeah. This is back and forth. He's like, yeah, I don't know what we're doing. May I don't know if we Saucy Jack we might try to find another drummer, or blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my eyebrows went up. I'm like, well, hey, if you're, I would definitely be interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so some time went by, and then I heard from him, and he's like, let's get together and meet, and we'll chat. So Jim and Stacy came out. We met at Marvin's, I remember, and talked over some stuff. They gave me a set list, and we went over to Pee Wee's and caught a band there. I'm not who it was. And then that was it. I didn't hear anything for again, a couple months. I'm like, oh, shoot, that maybe fell through. And then he emailed me and said, hey, let's get together and try some of this stuff. And I don't know when that was, maybe January, February. And I don't know what it was, but this is my guess, is that they got a call from Jim Reed about opening for Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Celebration.
Yeah.
They didn't have any. So it's like, all right, do we want to do this gig? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge. So let's try this guy out. That's my guess. I don't know if that's what happened. But anyway, we got together and, it went great.
That's
I
awesome.
think Jim was kind of floored and surprised. And it's like, all right, so let's do 6 more for next time. And we got together and threw another 12. We probably got together 5 times maybe. Had about 33 songs. We booked a gig at Dino's.
Okay.
Little bar there, Names, for our first gig, just to get our feet wet together live. And that was it. My second show with them was opening for Chicago. I was like, okay, well, here we go, jump in the fire.
That's really awesome.
And it went well. And ever since then, 13 years later.
Mm-hmm. How many of those big kind of shows have you ended up playing? Because I know Saucy Jack's opened up for a handful.
Yeah, we did that one, and then we were in line to open up for Styx, I believe. And then they came back and said that, no cover bands. And so we got dropped.
Okay.
At least that's the story I heard. And so that was a bummer. But we opened for Reo Speedwagon. This is all celebration,
I've seen you guys play then.
The other band.
Because I was at the Reo Speedwagon show.
Yeah.
I got free tickets to that actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, the day of the show, I won them on the radio.
That was crazy opening for him. I remember we played Radar Love, the White Lions version. Mm-hmm. I remember playing that song and looking over and seeing the drummer for Reo. I'm like, oh shit, okay, he's watching, great. Just focus and go on,
Oh my gosh,
it was pretty crazy.
That's cool. That was packed. That Reo Speedwagon show. I mean,
that was a good show.
There were so many people there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
it's fun doing those. It's fun meeting some of the musicians. I mean, we were walking backstage, Jim and I, and we ran into the guitarist, and he was cool. Some were like,
yeah,
stay away from me.
Yeah,
I'm cooler than what, but. It was cool. He was chatting with him and this and that, and it was all good. And then, which brings another one, it's like we opened for, down just recently, Memorial Day down at Boone for Great White, Vince Neil.
Oh, cool.
And Night Ranger.
But
anyway, Zoltan Chaney came back. I had my kit, stage, behind stage, pre-stage, with the riser and stuff, and he came back and he was checking it out, and nicest guy I've ever met.
Nice.
He's awesome. But have you ever seen him drum?
Mm-mm.
It's theatrical. I mean, it's entertainment. He is all over the place, throwing sticks, kicking stuff, getting up, kicking cymbals with his feet. I mean, he's just
that's fun.
It's so entertaining. but just the most down-to-earth, nicest guy in the world. You know, snagged some pictures, chatted with him for a while about my kit, you know, and it's like very cool.
That's awesome. It's always fun to meet famous people when they're nicer than, because I mean, like,
yeah, I mean, you meet some of those people and they're just like, you know.
But I also understand that. Could you imagine going everywhere and everyone's just like all up in your grill? Like it's like, I'm just trying to eat cereal, you know, or like whatever, and they're just like, take a picture. It's,
like Vince kind of seemed that way. I mean, he was just kept to himself, you know, can't go near him type of thing.
Yeah.
But that was a big show. What else? We opened for Ocario, and then the other one. Well, Cheap Trick and 38 Special.
Nice.
Just recently.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then I think we played Bait a couple times. These are all bands I've been with them. Mm-hmm. I know they've had some other stuff. Like they opened when Celebration was just getting going, and 38 Special couldn't get here. Mm-hmm. You know, they called Saucy Jack, so it was Saucy and was it Foghat? Anyway, it's just the opening band for 38 took the headline, and of course Saucy then played.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, they had some shows like that. And I know they opened for Firehouse and Loverboy and Head East and stuff, but those were before I was with them.
Sweet. That's really cool.
But yeah, we had some pretty big shows, and a couple out of Bait opened for some big names. And
I mean,
it's been crazy. I mean, I've always said I never imagined starting drums out that I would someday be in a band and sharing the stage, you know, with the people that I've mentioned.
Yeah.
Chicago, I mean, Cheap Trick, 38 Special.
Yeah, imagine if you just kept playing the trumpet.
I wouldn't be there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, rock and roll lifestyle, yeah. It's not all that cool, though. You know, it's a lot of work. You know, my days playing with them, it was a 12-hour day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can imagine with all the setup and stuff.
By the time you leave the house at, 3:30, 4 o'clock, and drive, we usually play within an hour. I usually allow about 3 hours to set everything up.
Yeah.
Play, and then 4 hours, tear down, getting out of there at 2:30 in the morning, driving home, in bed by 4. It's like 4 to 4. It's
a day. It's a day.
Yeah, for your 3-4 hours of just rocking out, it's a lot of work,
It honestly is.
There.
That's something I didn't really realize until this last year. I mean, like, I play in a punk band, but we just play like little half-hour sets, and it doesn't feel like too bad to just drag yours. I mean, it does feel like it's like I'm dragging a lot of stuff here for a half an hour, but at the same time,
that too,
you set it up, you play, you take it off, you're done. It's easy. Yeah. But like when you start playing 4-hour sets, it's like, cool. Now it's like quote unquote worth it, and I'm getting a bigger paycheck because I'm playing longer, etc. But it's at the same time like you got to think about, like you said, now I have to pack up more stuff, which is going to take longer, and then you got to drive there and come back, and you're playing all over the place.
And it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and lately these other bands, it's like, okay, like our show at River Hops, and the other night it's like we're starting at 7, starting at 8, only playing a couple hours. Like, this is all right,
Yeah.
It's like, am I getting too old for this? These earlier times are great.
Yeah.
The 9 to 1 thing was, and back when I was playing with them, we'd do a double night, like at Pee Wee's. He always wanted Friday and Saturday.
Oh, dang.
That's rough.
Oh, man. At least you still...
But we could leave it set up. I mean, that was the plus, I guess.
Yep. Didn't have to set it up twice. But
right.
I've been talking to some people recently, and we were talking about like the huge difference between playing a 3-hour and a 4-hour set. Yeah. Like, I feel like 3 hours is a magic number. Like, 2 hours you could rock the whole time.
2 hours, it's like we're going out there, we're going to throw it down, no break.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 3 hours, you get to snag a little break. You can play some slow songs and some fast songs and kind of get it going.
I got to go to the bathroom.
4 hours, it's kind of like, by the time you're done, you're almost burned out,
Yeah,
I mean, like...
You're tired.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember, my butt hurts. It's like, I had a couple of times I cramped up, but I attribute that to something else, But by the end of the night, you're like exhausted. Then what sucks is like, okay, you have to tear it all down.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Which our setup was stupid, I mean, I went over the top as much as I could with lights, one guy, and my kit being big, and which is another thing about the efficiency and the riser. It's like I need to simplify things as much as possible.
Yeah,
for quick and easy.
It's not so bad when you don't have too many things. Like I know people that it's just like I have a guitar, a cable, it goes into the amp. That's the end of the story. And it's like, what if you have an amp that goes into extra cabs and you have pedal boards and all this other, but you have to like figure out a way to set it all up. It's like I gotta have 14 cables and you gotta make sure they're all organized and stuff. So, I mean, doing those half-hour sets really kind of taught me how to do that, because it's like we have 10 minutes between bands, and they're tearing their stuff down, and you got to load up next to them.
You got to get on and off stage in this amount of time.
Yep.
Which is another reason, it's like try to simplify things as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And I mean, that is also kind of the beauty of playing the long sets. You can show up as early as you want. You know, some places you could, like I know...
some venues, it's like, we can get in there that early? Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I know Salty Views sometimes sets up the day before, because they've got so much stuff.
No, I know. Well, I know Tim.
Yep.
Trent, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, we're kind of two peas in a pod, and he's pretty particular and kind of, on top of things.
Yeah.
And I am too, but he maybe more so. Yeah, he just takes his time, get everything just right, and which is awesome. But
yeah, I mean,
he loves the extra time, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there is something to be said though, because I mean, I remember in his podcast he said something along the lines of, "You see what you hear when you go to a music show, or you hear what you see."
Hear what you see.
Yes, there you go.
And that I would agree. I mean, it helps.
It does,
and that definitely applies to food.
Yeah,
I love to cook too. But the presentation, you get a nice gourmet meal at, a fine restaurant. You know how they make it all.
It looks so good.
It makes a difference.
Yep. Oh man, I gotta throw this out there.
So that is totally true.
So you like food and you understand presentation. Well, today I made some like taco macaroni and cheese, right? Which is just like
you
yellow.
can make that look spectacular.
Yeah, it's like yellow and blobby. But then I was like, all right, I'm gonna throw some like chips on top, and it's just like yellow corn chips on yellow mush, and it's like this is all just yellow garbage.
You need some color.
You need some color in here.
Get some brown or some blue chips and red.
Yeah, should have had more salsa in there or something. Right. I don't know.
Some green jalapenos sliced up, scattered around the plate.
There we go.
I don't know, something.
that was my lunch today. I was like, this is hilarious. And then you brought that up. I was like, I got to talk about this. This is totally important in podcast stuff.
No, that's totally true, man. You hear what you see, and you taste what you see. And,
yeah, I mean, it
makes a difference.
It does. It really does. And I mean, that's not to say, like, I've been to some stripped down shows at nonsense places and like little hole in the wall bars that have been absolutely amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't want to come across wrong. It's like, obviously, the most important thing is the sound. Mm-hmm. Musically, I mean, are you playing well? Are you getting it down? Are you nailing it? You got to have that. But so you add a spectacular light show, or something on top of that. It just adds to the whole experience, and people go home like, God, they sounded great. And man, the freaking lights and effects were, just turns it in more of not a listening thing, but a visual, just the whole experience,
Yeah. I mean,
which is what, I love that. Like hairball.
Yep. Yeah.
I can love to play.
Oh gosh.
Play with them,
That's some fun stuff. I mean,
they're over the top.
Yeah. I mean,
it's fun.
I love those kind of bands though. Like the Pork Tornadoes is like a cover band from Iowa. Same deal. I mean, they hire it out, but that doesn't make it any less impressive because it's like they have they have one of the best live shows around.
It's funny you even say that because I just saw Hairball last weekend down in Des Moines, and Pork Tornadoes opened for him.
No way.
And I never even heard of them. Well, I've heard of them, but I'd never heard them live.
Oh my gosh.
And so these guys come out with these big beards. Well, three of them.
What, did they sell out Wells Fargo? Those two kids, they can sell some tickets, both of them.
It was pretty packed. I was like, shit, this place is about packed. I mean, my wife and they were looking at it before. I said, that's a pretty big building. And I'm like, yeah, it seemed like a freaking big time show.
Yeah.
Like it was full. But they come out looking like, to me, like, kind of 90s grunge and, the beards and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they open with Lady Gaga. I mean, you're familiar with them. So, and the stuff they're playing, I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting that, but damn, they sound good. It's awesome. I mean, they sounded great. It was fun.
Yeah, those guys are tons of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've talked to Mike a couple times on the podcast, their drummer. He's got a podcast now where they review movies, and it's like it was at one point in time the #1 podcast for movies and entertainment on Apple. And it's called Confused Breakfast if anybody wants to look it up. Yeah. But yeah, I 100% agree that the light show makes a difference. And I mean, once again, this is not to say anything against any bands that don't have the light
Absolutely.
show.
No,
But like
yeah.
I've been to one venue that they have house lights and the person runs the house lights. That's awesome. That's always a plus. But I remember seeing one band there where their deal was we're bringing in our own lights.
Right.
And so they brought in their own lights and didn't use the house lights. And the light show was so insane because they obviously had it keyed up
Yep.
to everything. It was all MIDI triggered through their Kemper units and all this other fancy schmancy stuff. So it all triggered itself, and they had smoke machines in the whole 9 yards. And I was like, this show is insane. I've been to dozens of shows at this venue.
Yeah.
And these guys are blowing it away. And I mean, they were doing they could have played with the house lights. It would have been just as impressive because they were that good. But still, the light show made it like, I mean, it's almost like I was transported back to the 80s when you think of those huge light shows they used to have.
I love that. This is the whole show. Yeah, absolutely. Which is why, it's like but it's back to the plan. It's like you've got to have that down. And so that's why I wanted to focus on, because I was trying to do that, and I didn't trigger the lights for this and that. And then the keyboard backing tracks, triggering those. It's like, I just want to focus on drumming. Mm-hmm. So it's nice in one of the bands now. I think the other guy's going to take the lights over. And
that's really cool.
we're going to kind of work together, but yeah. But I love the show. Love live performance. It's fun.
So let's talk about mixing electronic drums with acoustic drums. So everybody knows drums are the round things with the skin on the top, and you hit them and they go boom. But they have like a little electric pads for electric drum sets that you can technically program whatever you want into them.
Yeah, I mean Roland's. That's why I'm playing with the Roland kit, and I think they're about the first maybe to come out with the mesh heads, which really feel pretty darn close to the real drums.
Yeah, because I remember those rubber ones were.
Oh yeah, and I had the old Simmons kit, way back when. It's just hard rubber, and it was worse than a practice pad because it's hard. Or maybe they're just so old that I hit them recently. I feel that way, but the new Rolands are great, and their sounds it's unbelievable. I mean, you get that thing going through a nice PA and tweaked in, and get your sounds tweaked, and the adjustments, and changes you can make to their sounds is unbelievable. I mean, you can almost emulate, about anything.
Yeah,
we're pretty close. And so, but the main thing I was using it for with, Saucy Jack is just using it like sound effects, like the cowbells and the vibra slap on like Crazy Train, stuff like that.
Yep, that's the rattle at the beginning. Of Crazy. Yeah, that's for those people that don't know.
And then
look up a vibra slap if you don't know what it is.
There's a ball and a thing, and then thing that looks like a wood block.
They're wild.
Yeah.
Yep.
So stuff like that, but I was mainly using it to trigger the backing keyboard parts and stuff.
That's really neat.
So. And then I did get some some acoustic triggers, and then we did a Wild Side for a while, Wild Side, and I beefed up the toms to sound like the recording Tommy Lee and put a big flange effect on it, which is awesome.
Oh, I love it.
And so and after a while they kind of got bad. It wasn't working well, so it kind of ticked me off. But I've got the new ones now. And they work awesome with the new sound module that I have. It's like unbelievable. They made such improvements with that. It's like, okay, this is insane.
Yeah.
You've got the acoustic kit, and then you put those on, and you can overlay and tweak your sounds by overlaying that onto it. And the response, it just sounds amazing.
I love the incorporation of electronics into an acoustic kit. I know there's some drummers out there that are like, that's sacrilege or whatever.
You're cheating, it's not. Yeah. Oh,
you use triggers, burp a derp, and I get it. But you're still playing the same drum set.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like with this so far. I mean, with Ronley, I'm not using any electronics. Kirkhart, I am. It's kind of a similar setup to what I had previous band. But it's because some of the stuff we're doing, there's all these sound effects and crazy stuff going. So like, well, I need to trigger that. I need to do this and that. And for practice, it's great because I've got the acoustic triggers, electronic triggers on the acoustic drums. And so it's like everyone else is running through amps and PA. And my kit's not mic'd up. But with those, it's like it is. And it makes a huge difference as far as just practicing. But,
yeah, it really does.
It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, so like if people don't understand the concept, like you can have like what looks like a fake plastic drum set pretty much, and that's an electronic kit, but you can also have triggers set up on an acoustic kit that are you just kind of attach them to the head that's already there.
Yeah, they've got screwed them onto the rim, and their little sensor touches the head, and hit the head and it triggers it. The newer ones work great.
Yeah. So one of the cool things I remember, like, this is really pretty much exactly what you were talking about with the Tommy Lee effect. But like, I was talking to Mike Schulte from Pork Tornadoes. He was telling me about what he does is like same concept, but then when they play like In the Air Tonight, he's got this like little tiny kit. But if they're playing In the Air Tonight, it's like, well, I can use these triggers to make it sound like I'm hitting humongous toms, like Phil Collins did, and they're not actually there. But the other cool thing is you can blend the two sounds together. You can mic up the drum, like, and just have the acoustic sound come through, and then blend it in with something deeper or whatever.
That's what's awesome. It's like with that Motley Crue song, it's my drums are always there. But then I beefed them up and make them sound a little deeper and a little more thunderous, and then put the flange effect on it. So it was just overlaid on top of what was already there. I love it. It sounds so powerful. Yeah, it's awesome.
I mean, there's people obviously,
and you could do any sound on top of that, like he was saying.
Yeah, and there's so many people out there. I understand that like acoustic only. This is purist or whatever, but I get it, and because from my experience going and playing so many different like shows with like metal bands and things like that. A lot of them will like what I would say like almost abuse the trigger, where it's like, well, we're just going to trigger this and we're going to have it set up to be this sound. And it's like the kick drum almost sounds like a flat snare drum. Like it's so abrasive when it comes to the speakers, so wouldn't it be better if there was just a regular kick drum? But it's like, whatever. I'm not running sound. It's not my band. Yeah. I've learned not to judge or like worry about it too much, I guess.
Yeah, and I can see that. I mean, I play an acoustic kit and it's all there. And so a lot of the songs, I really didn't overlay those sounds on it. And I know like Dean Davis, great drummer.
Oh yeah.
He can't stand the electronic kits, and I get it. I know why.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because nothing responds like your real hi-hat, your real snare drum, and the other drums. And I completely agree. But for me, it's just. Okay, it's just another tool in the box, It's like, I want that, and that's what I'm doing. But for this song, we're covering. I want the toms beefed up, and I want an electronic pad over here I can just use for this percussion sound, and this and that, or be able to trigger the Home Sweet Home piano part here. But overall, I'm playing an acoustic kit, and that's what I like, and I agree. It still doesn't compare to electronic, but the new electronic kits. The cymbals, they're getting better, but they still can't. They're not touching the real ones. Yeah. But the toms with the mesh heads and it's not bad. I know a lot of drummers. On the Facebook groups I'm on, said, "Oh my God, that's all I'm using live now. It's amazing. You can get your kit sounding exactly like this one and this one. And touch of a button, switch it over, and it's great. It depends on the type of music. But if you're doing jazz, like real jazz." Electronic kit is not going to work.
No. You're not going to have any of the ghost notes or any of the finesse.
No, none of that. And that's what Dean's after. And I completely agree. I mean, there's so much you can't do on an electronic kit that you can on acoustic.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess like some of people's
preferences. I've got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, some of people's preferences, I guess, just come down to their playing styles and what they're trying to go after,
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the fun things about learning an instrument is kind of incorporating some of the other tools, though, too. Because, I mean, like, why wouldn't you, I guess, want to learn everything about it, But
well, yeah, and if we need this for song, it's like, why not? I mean, I don't, I hear a lot of people talk about like, okay, well, they've got a teleprompter up there for the vocals. Honestly, to me, that doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother me either, but some people it bothers them a lot.
I know, and it's like I don't, and I respect that, but I don't know what the issue is. I mean,
some people don't even
not go back to Rush, but Geddy Lee had one in front of him for all their vocals at the end.
Yep.
It's like, so what? And they're also triggering. I know some people have said, like triggering our backing stuff, the keyboards and this and that. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, some people.
I didn't go out and isolate it off their recording and sample it and play it back. I learned the part, found the sounds in my thing, my module at home, played it and recorded it at home. So it's all us guys. We're all playing this. It's just there's only three of us.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything wrong with us triggering that back.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's
But
the other.
some people, they throw a fit about it. It's like, well, they're not. It's like, well,
All the sound's not coming from the people. It's like, yeah, well, technically it kind of is,
yeah, exactly.
And I mean, like, the other thing is, like, you now have to add in hitting a trigger into already playing the song anyways.
Right.
So you're like, how do I mush this in there at the right time? Because
I
it
know.
has to be the right time.
And timing, so that's, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I mean, that's the thing.
Dealt with that a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're playing to anything that's looped or triggered or backing tracks,
And you've got to be spot on.
you have to be spot on because it doesn't shift. Like, if you're the drummer and you come in a little late, you can kind of catch up and go back to being correct.
Right.
But the track's not going to know that. It's not going to shift for you.
Which is nice for me because I did them all, so I know exactly where they were and when they started and stopped. And I was one that started and stopped them, so they would start on the beat. But man, there were a couple times, in our 13 years where we did get off, and I just had to turn the thing off.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the way, I came down. It's like, well, I'm going to record this song in segments. I can do this little section here, this section here. I had some there were like 5 or 6 different patterns that would play back. Here's the chorus part. Here's just to help keep things dead on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I was talking to, I don't know if it's Tony Benson. I can't remember. Somebody where they did have one of their tracks was the entire song.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, no. There's no adjusting there.
Well, you'd almost have to
you almost have to play with a click in your ear.
Yes, you have to have in-ear clicks,
which I never did.
I
didn't want to. But yeah, you'd almost have to for something like that because if you get off there, you're screwed.
Yeah. And see, I've done that for like rehearsal purposes.
To get back on. It's like, oh my God.
It sounds good and it sounds really tight when you play to clicks and stuff, but I also think it takes some of the life out of things when you play to clicks.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
It's almost like Neil Peart where he's dead on the beat, but now everyone's dead on the beat and there's no sagging one way or the other from one to the next, because now nobody gets to be in the pocket, and
right.
And some music doesn't require a pocket though either.
And I know, a lot of songs you want same tempo throughout, but I have heard some, especially work on this in the lights, because I would like coordinate the lights timing wise. I'm like, okay, actually that chorus is kind of sped up a little bit, and that's just part of music,
mm-hmm.
And the feel and the vibe. That part's going to be a little more energetic, maybe a little quicker, then it drops back here. Of course with jazz, and it's all over the place.
Yep.
Or it can be. But, so playing with a click, that's just the whole song's rock solid the same the whole way. And plus, you not only listen to your buddies, bandmates playing and focus on your part, but you've got to make sure you stay with this click. It's just so monotonous. I just didn't like it.
It is, yeah.
I didn't want to do that.
It's like the sound of the blinker in your car.
Yeah, it's like after a while, it's like,
oh my gosh, yeah,
just let me play, let me drive, just turn this thing off.
I totally get it. Get it. Yeah, but that's like, kudos to you though, because like you've pretty much dipped a little bit into every alley of drumming. Kind of, it seems like you've played with backing tracks, like almost to a click track, but you've played acoustic stuff, and you've played with the huge kit and the smaller kit, and you had the rotating stage with the electric kit and the non-electric, and then you blended them together into one thing that had all, so.
Well, but and that's all been kind of the hard rock. So I don't know. Saucy came to an end, or a break. Anyway, so it's like I did jazz, some jazz band stuff in high school, but I've never really listened to blues, played blues, so I was kind of excited for something different and something new. And doing it now, it is a lot different. It is, but it's not. But playing, I guess with Saucy, it's like, okay, we're doing this song. You get the CD, whatever. I'm an old guy. You get the download. You listen to the song. Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. Everyone knows it. All the stuff we did was like that. It's like, you play it, try to play it note for note. At least we did, Let's try to reproduce exactly what's on there. So I could easily go home, put that on, play to it. I did most of my practicing at home, because we really never did get together and practice.
Yeah.
but with that type of thing, you just could do it at home. We're doing just like the recording. Maybe we'd change up a couple songs, but pretty minor. And play along with it. It sounds just like it. But with the blues band, the drumming in those songs is just not, it's not rock. It's not the basic, straightforward stuff. It's a lot looser. It seems like there's a lot more expression and stuff in room for you to express yourself if you want with your own style. And it's totally, completely fine and fits. And so there's that, which I'm excited about. But there's a lot of what we're doing. It's like, okay, let's don't do that part. Let's change that. Okay, we're starting this different. That, we're in it different. This is going to go. So it's like, okay, like I was telling you earlier, before, it's like, I want to have my stuff nailed down as much as I can before a show. We got together twice, and all these songs are completely not like the recording.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can't remember all this shit. Okay, this will be interesting tonight.
It was really good though, and in your I don't want to say in your defense, but Ronley picked a lot of deep cuts for blues songs. Like,
and I'm not even familiar with it enough to even know.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
I mean, you can like the blues.
Yeah.
But Ronley really likes the blues.
Yeah.
And so he's picking stuff that a lot of people might not have ever heard before.
Well, he picked some. I don't want to sound obscure because I really don't know, but some stuff that surprised me, like Chameleon by Herbie Hancock. I'm
yep.
like, is that even considered blues? I'm like,
sure, why not?
I thought, yeah, but we do it, and it's a blast.
Oh yeah, we played that one in pep band in high school.
Yeah.
I freaking love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I heard him playing, I was just like, oh my God, I know this song.
It's been like I was telling him, it's like, gosh, I felt like I'm letting you guys down. It's like, it's just knowing where you're going in a song, what's coming up next, and being confident. You know what's coming up next and exactly where, because then you can play to that, you can build, you can play to it, and know the change. But my point is, some of that stuff is like, okay, let's just go twice. So it's like, oh yeah, we're here, and then it's almost like a surprise. And so it's not as smooth as it should be. I would have done that fill differently had I known. Okay, yeah, we were going there. But that's what's going to come. I mean, with time, and playing it more and more, and it's like, okay, that's the way we do that song. I know what's coming. The playing, it just gets better and better.
Yeah, I mean, that ties back.
Every musician knows that.
That ties back to what we were talking about first off, is there's so many different styles of drumming. Yeah. I mean, like, when you're first learning the drums, it's just like rock beat, 4/4, kick snare, hi-hat in between,
Basic stuff.
Little simple tom fill, and then you go to the ride, and it's the same thing. We're on the ride now. And so, like, but once you start getting any deeper into it than that, it changes drastically.
And I think that's some of those drummers that I saw. They weren't doing the rock stuff that I'd always been listening to. I was like, wow, man, that's crazy. He's doing this stuff and so much more open and different. And it's not just the basic stuff. So, and this was a long time ago, but it's like, okay, this opened my mind. I need to really listen to something more than Rush.
Yeah. I mean,
that was a long time ago. But
and playing on the fly is not always easy though either, because it takes a little bit of practice and warming up to get used to kind of going with the flow.
And I'm not an ad lib person either. People, what scares me once is like, okay, drum solo. It's like, oh shit, no, I need some time to think it through and think what I want to do, and come up with something. You call it rehearsed drum solo, that's fine. It's like, no, that's better when it's spontaneous. Yeah, I don't know, not for me.
Yep.
At least I'm maybe way comfortable with stuff and like, okay, I've thought about it a little bit, at least on my own. What if I'm thrown into that there? What am I going to do? But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I used to be just like that. I had to know what we were playing, when we were playing it. Everything had to be cut and dry. And now I almost think I like playing on the fly more, because it's just like, well, I'm going to add a solo in between this verse and that verse and over here. And, I'm just trying to think of like a random song that's just like you could just take forever, Marshall Tucker Band, Can't You See?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's a 9-minute song now. Thank you. Like, you just soak up some time with a whole pile of solo. Bass solo.
Yep. And that's kind of what we were doing, with some of those songs. But, oh, shoot, where was I going to go? What were you just talking about?
Playing off the cuff, people telling you when to play, the difference.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I guess that's what I'm kind of excited about, is just not being so rigid, with the way the song, and there's just more room for expression and playing me. I guess part of it is I have to get used to that, because that's been my drumming up until now.
Yeah.
Especially with the blues band. It's like, I've got to get this out of my mind that, okay, we're doing this song, so I've got to record it. Okay, that's kind of how it goes. It's like, okay, that's fine. Just take the essentials out of that. What's the groove? What's kind of the main, the beat, the feel there? Where are the changes? The major stuff like that. take that, learn that, and then you play it.
All right.
Don't emulate the recording.
Yeah.
And that's what I've had so ingrained in my mind forever with everything I've done. I'm still trying to honestly kind of break from that with those guys, to just loosen up. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Along loosen up, it's like I never used to drink when I played beer. One with Saucy Jack, because I get such a rush of just playing and live performance. Yeah, it slows me down, which is depressing. But I also had, the lights, too much to think about. But for the first time, playing with Ronley, it's like, all right, I'm just going to have a beer and loosen up and taking a little bit of the edge off. Playing music like that, where it is more off the cuff or this and that, it almost kind of helps you.
Yeah.
Loosens you up, and it's like you don't care, and you just play more from the soul, after you've had a beer or two. And so, I did that and tried that, and it was all right.
Yeah, I mean...
I just can't do too much, as a drummer, but...
Yeah, I mean, otherwise you'll sweat it out in 20 minutes and have a hangover.
I don't want to get sloppy and okay, But.
So here's a concept I want to spin past you then, because we got about an hour in here anyways. But so we're talking, you're playing to the recording, all right. So if you're gonna play an emulator recording, every part for the drums has a build up that leads to a switch. And as a guitarist, when I would play with those kind of bands, I would always, even if I got lost where we were at and I was on autopilot, I'd be like, oh, there's a drum cue that we're supposed to switch to the next part.
Right.
But if you're playing jam stuff and you don't necessarily know 100% if the next part's coming or if you're just going to keep soloing. So do you feel like that takes some tools out of your toolbox?
Well, that's kind of my point. It's like, so I'm not playing as confidently in knowing where I'm going on the road because I really don't know what's coming up next. So it's like, I probably could be playing a lot better if I knew he's going to be switching here or this what's coming, this one. And you can build to that and play to that and fill into that, and do a whole measure, two measure, whatever. And get those changes in there. And it totally flows with the song. But if you don't know exactly when or where, it makes it a lot more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, because there's some parts
impossible, to do some stuff because you just don't know what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff where it's like, well, here's a guitar fill. I'll match my drum fill to meet this guitar fill because it's leading to the next part.
There's a lot of music, songs out there that are like that. And yeah, you can't
do that at a jam night, really. No. But when you do
that's what makes it what it is, I guess.
Yeah, but it's fun when you do though, because it's just like, holy cow, that was
dude. We were on like the save way, like
in the moment. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's fun.
So you hope those moments happen all the time, but
yeah, they don't. Not every song is a winner at jam night, unfortunately.
Sometimes that moment goes the other way, and it's like, ooh, that was bad. No one noticed that one.
Yeah, we weren't on the same page there. My bad. There's so many times at those types of shows where I just laugh because it's like, well, yeah, shit the bed on that one.
And that's another thing too. I'm so damn hard on myself. At times I just need to say, you know what? How that? No one probably even caught that. Maybe they did. It happens.
Yep.
And just move on. Not let it bother me, but
yeah. Well, I mean, that honestly feels like a good place to leave this because that's a life lesson too. That's not just a music lesson.
Yeah.
And I feel like we could all learn from that.
Pick it up and move on. It's not going to do you a damn bit of good worrying about it.
No, it's not.
In fact, the nights I've been playing and start thinking about my mistakes, it just goes downhill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forget it. Move on. There's not a damn thing you can do about what just happened.
Yep. Yep. Especially, like, I remember there's some of those times where it's like, I made a mistake here. The next time around, I can't make that mistake.
Right.
So you don't make that one, but then you mess something up later because you spent so much time keyed in on the one spot.
Stewing on what you just did and just screw up, that you just screwed something else up.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. You got to let it go. Yeah. Got to let it go. Well, I feel like we've talked about a lot of the stuff that I kind of had written down. Is there anything we didn't cover that you do want to cover?
It's raining out.
All right.
Be very careful.
All right. Awesome. If you heard that was my old man came in and talked to us for a little bit. But I feel like we talked about pretty much everything we needed to. Like, you're in Ronley's band right now. You're in Kirkhart. And Saucy Jack is either... I think you guys were going to do your last show.
We said on hiatus. Yeah.
It was the
supposedly the last show.
show.
We're leaving room. Maybe there'll be a reunion show someday.
I bet there will be.
I hope so.
I honestly, when I cruise through your Facebook, that's what I like saw in the comments a lot on a lot of the posts is like reunion tour. Yeah. Like it's just like that's awesome. People want Saucy Jack back already.
Or like Stacy and Jim, they thought well, if we ever get it called to open up for a big show again, it's like hell yeah, we'll all get together and do it.
Yeah,
but it's like well, Jim, it's like if we're not playing regularly, those are probably going to start to drop off. But
well.
Never know. Whatever.
I'd still ride the wave while you can.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. I mean, we're all still here and would do it. But.
Yeah. Well, at least you're keeping your chops up. Got a couple new bands to try out. 2 different styles and varieties compared to what you're used to. So
never thought I'd be in a country band either.
Yeah, me either.
Or rock country. I wasn't a big country fan, but the newer country stuff.
Yeah, some of it's pretty rocking.
It's pretty rocking.
Yep.
Some of the stuff we have picked out that we're doing is like, all right, I can hang with that.
That's awesome. And Scott knows his country. He knows all the different varieties, so he'll pick the stuff. I mean, he'll be good at it. So
it's coming along.
Yep. Is there anything else we should have talked about? Let's see. I don't know. Everything on the list is checked off. So
yeah. We're probably good then.
All right, we're going to save it for next time if we find anything. So, Andy, I really appreciate you dropping by. I'll drop links that I can find available for the bands in the description for everybody. Okay. Anything else you want to say before we're gone?
I just appreciate you having me on. I feel like a privileged person here. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Oh, another good one. I think one of my favorite things about meeting people for the first time on the podcast is they're pretty much all amazing people. It's really kind of nerve-wracking meeting people for the first time and interviewing them, but I think it's also kind of fun because it's like a fresh slate. I don't have to sit down with the people and say, okay, act like nobody knows this, even though you and I both know all of this information. It's a fresh start. I got to get a good story out of Andy, and we found some topics that we vibed on and talked about. And both gave our opinions on, and that's one of my favorite things about this podcast is we kind of talk about who's on it, what their style is, and things like that, and how it's different from other people's style. And Andy's no different. He incorporates the electronic drums with the acoustic drums, and does some really cool stuff with triggering and setting up backing tracks and things like that. And we both understand that's not for everybody, and we both understand that doesn't fit the mold for every band or every genre of music. But for what he's doing, it's perfect. He knows what he's doing, and he's doing what he wants to do, and I feel like that's really cool. He's really stretching the limits of what just an acoustic drum set can do, and working on it and making it work with an electric drum set incorporated into it. So that's really, really cool. And that's been one of my favorite things about music is, yes, I play guitar, but what happens when I plug these things in? What happens when one of those goes over here? What happens if I do a stereo setup or a bi-amp setup, or et cetera, et cetera? So I get to think about all these different scenarios, and I'm not playing any of those large weird setups at shows, but Andy was doing that. He was trying all this crazy stuff out at home and prepping for all these shows, because that's the thing, like we said on the podcast, he's doing all of the recordings for all these backing tracks himself, and like making all the key parts and MIDI parts and transferring them over, and he knows when to trigger them to put them in the right spots and things like that. It's crazy that you think about all the time that people spend playing music, and a lot of people just think it's all on stage, but in all actuality, there's people like Andy that are out there that are spending a lot of time at home working on this and perfecting it before they even get to the stage, not to mention those 12-hour days we were talking about. So hats off to Andy Shelly, being a crazy busy drummer, playing with one of the best known bands that's out there in the cover band scene for the last 10, 15, 20 years. I think he's been playing with them since around 2008, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry if I got that figure wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's fairly close to correct. So like we said, he's opened up for a lot of cool bands, and has had he knows what he wants out of his music, and he knows what he wants out of his setup. And that was another cool thing to talk about, setting up and tearing down and trying to make everything as easy as possible and convenient, because those days can get long when you're there setting things up. So yes, once again, hats off to Andy Shelly, taking the time out of his day to come visit me, to do a podcast with me. It never ceases to blow my mind that people are willing to do that, and hats off to him for taking time out of his day. He didn't have to come over and meet up with me and do a podcast, but he did. So I really do appreciate it. thank you very much, Andy, for doing that. Hats off to you. And I just did go look up the figure. He's been drumming with Saucy Jack since 2008. If you haven't seen Saucy Jack, check him out. But you can catch Andy Shelly playing with the Ronley King Blues Band and Kirkhart. I've got some links down below for the Ronley King Blues Band. I don't think Kirkhart has any social media up yet because they have not played a show yet. But I know it's coming, and I know the show is going to be amazing. Scott kind of gave me some info on what he's looking for there, and I think he's got the right people for the job coming in and helping him out. If you guys are wondering about that band Kirkhart that Andy Shelly's going to be playing with, go back a few episodes to the Scott Kirkhart episode and check it out. He talks about it in there and sends some nice things about the entire band in there. Once again, all the links down below for Ronley King Blues Band. I'll even drop the links down below for Saucy Jack that I can find. I know they've got a Facebook. I know they at least had a website. Maybe they still do. I'll have to double check all that information. But check down below for all the links for everything Andy Shelly's been involved with over the last few years and everything he's going to be involved with for the years to come. So hats off to you, Andy. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you guys are looking for Audible Farm links, they're down below too. They're way down at the bottom. audiblefarm.com to find all the links to everything. There's also the Audible Farm shop. You can go shop.audiblefarm.com, find t-shirts. We're sold out of hoodies. I really need to work on getting some hats and some other things in. I really do want to work with a couple companies to get some stuff taken care of for some more merch, but I still do have a lot of t-shirts left to sell. Well, not a lot. I'm running out of a lot of sizes on the new style of shirts that I made with the various coloring schemes. I know that a lot of people were interested in those, and I said they were going to be a short run, and I've sold out of most of them. So if you guys are looking for some of those, check the sizes available. Otherwise, we do have the original Audible Farm shirts. There is pretty much every size available for those, except for maybe 2X. I think I've sold out of the 2X, but I think I've got 3X. I think I have some 4X as well, if somebody's looking for some 4X shirts. Otherwise, there are keychains and stickers and things of that nature. I need to redo the online shop and kind of update it and see what else I can put on there. But thank you to everyone that's made orders. I had a lot of people making orders around the holiday time, so that was really kind of cool. So thank you, everybody, for doing that. If you're looking for the video version of this podcast, the full video version is available on Patreon, and you can listen to it there and watch it there as well. So go to patreon.com. It's $1 a month. I'm out of here for this week, everybody. Peace.